Hey everyone, it's Mal. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. And today I'm going to talk about my relationship with alcohol and where it sits in my life. So I hope you enjoy this video. I got a great response to my last one on my mental health conditions. And a big shout out to Tim and Mark, two fellas that come up and said g'day to me at Gasoline Alley the other day. They watched the channel. Out of all the motorcycle videos I've done, he said the video he enjoyed the most was the one on my mental health discussions. So that really pleases me, and I think that's what it's all about, is create conversation, get other people talking. So cheers boys for coming and say good day. We actually sat down, had a coffee with them for probably half an hour or so, and yeah, it was fun. So I enjoy that, and let's get going. So where do I sit with alcohol in my life? I will tell you about my upbringing pretty much straight off the bat. So I grew up in a typical Australian family. Alcohol was around everywhere. You know, Dad loved his beer. My grandmother loved her beer. My mother's side of the family are Estonian, so they drank vodka, and you know, every single thing we did with our family was always revolved around alcohol. So there's always beer, there was always wine, there was always alcohol around. So I was pretty numb to it as I grew up. Where I really started to change my idea about alcohol, I think earlier, was when I was playing cricket. So I played cricket all through primary school and high school, and then I started to play senior cricket. So I went from playing Saturday afternoon to Sunday and playing in the men's competition. What I found was by 10 o'clock, all the boys were drinking piss. They were just on the beers, opening beers, and the smell of beer, I just got sick of it. You know, the cricket bags stunk of beer. And anyway, I didn't drink beer. I just went along with it, and I wanted to play cricket. But it's literally what turned me into racing motorcycles, because my sport was taken away from me because it was just an alcohol fest for all these fellas. And, you know, good luck to them. That's what they wanted to do. But for me, I wanted the competition and the sport of cricket. So I walked away and I went to motorcycle riding, and that evolved into becoming a motorcycle racer. So, you know, maybe alcohol drove me to where I am today. So as a typical teenager, I started drinking, and I was drinking with my mates, and that's what you do. And, you know, I'd sneak alcohol out of Dad's little collection. Sorry, Mum, if you're watching this, but you know, we would get alcohol. We were drinking underage. We were drinking while we were at high school, and it was just the cool thing to do, which I think everyone at my age at that stage did. My biggest thing was I started racing motorcycles, and I really admired one rider in particular, Stephen Gall, who I'm personal friends with today. And Stephen was the absolute hero of Australian motocross and racing in Australia. And he made it pretty clear back in those days that he was a non-drinker. So knowing Stephen now really well, I found out his relationship with alcohol was due to a family situation. I won't go into it too far, but I always thought it was because of his pro athleticism that he did not drink. But that was just a byproduct that was better for his racing, that he didn't drink. But he actually didn't drink due to a family situation. So that was really interesting to find out now, 40 years later. So yeah, Stephen, thank you, because you have been a role model to me for my non-drinking status, which I'm going to get to shortly. So as my life evolved, drinking, I was racing motocross, but I focused on Stephen Gall and that he didn't drink. So I turned my drinking into binge drinking, which meant a lot in very short periods of time, but very spaced out. So, you know, I was never really a beer drinker. I'd hit the spirits, and I would drink to the point of ridiculously embarrassing myself. And I have done that over several occasions where I was just made an absolute dick of myself because I was drunk. You know, got into mountain bike racing. Mountain bike racing was all about drinking as well. It was about riding hard, racing, and then we'd all go and drink hard. And again, you know, I thought that was just normal. So I would carry on and drink to stupid levels and get totally drunk. What I started to notice was I would go into these really bad depressions after drinking. So I sort of touched on that before with my bipolar. And, you know, I was just drinking to these stupid states where it would wipe me out for 2 or 3 days. But everyone else was doing it, so I didn't see anything wrong with it, and I just continued on that path. It wasn't until I turned 40 the year I was turning 40. So I was 39. We were having a New Year's Eve down at Burleigh Heads on the Gold Coast, and a friend of ours was drinking non-alcoholic champagne. Now that night I was on painkillers because I'd hurt a knee. So I would have just continued drinking, but I couldn't because I was on Panadol Forte. So I was on something that was pretty heavy and it was advised not to drink. So I didn't drink. But I saw Kylie, this friend of a friend, was drinking non-alcoholic champagne. I went, how cool is that? I didn't even know this sort of product existed. So while everyone else was drinking, I drank non-alcoholic champagne. I made a New Year's resolution that year, and it was the year I was turning 40. So that was 21, coming up to 21 years ago, that I'm going to go for 2 weeks with no alcohol. And to me, that seemed like a huge goal, 2 weeks not drinking. I got through 2 weeks. It then moved into, let's see if we can go for a month. So I went for 4 weeks without drinking alcohol. Once I got to a month, I stretched it out to 3 months. Once I got to 3 months, alcohol was gone. I no longer drank alcohol. It was just gone out of my system. So one word of advice I'm going to give anyone that wants to or considered stopping drinking alcohol is, don't set these unrealistic goals of, I'm not going to be a drinker for the rest of my life. Just set a goal of 1 week or 2 weeks. Set more achievable goals. When you achieve that goal, set another goal. And that's how I basically did it. I micromanaged this big goal of not drinking over shorter terms, and it proved successful to me. Now, how has it affected my life since I haven't drunk? Well, I'm definitely healthier. I don't get any waves of depression brought on by alcohol, and alcohol is, if you do research on it, it is a known depressant, and it didn't sit well with me. I will say here, I don't have a problem with people that do drink. Like, I don't stand on a rooftop waving flags saying, you have to drink, stop drinking alcohol. It just didn't work for me. That's my best way of explaining it, is it didn't work for me. It didn't work with my lifestyle. It didn't work with my fitness that I do and my bike riding. So I just went, let's go without it. I don't need it. Now, in my mind, it is as easy as a decision as, I don't smoke, so therefore don't offer me a cigarette. I don't drink. I just don't. If someone says, oh, do you want a beer? I go, no, that's cool. I'm fine to go without it. So it's not like I make a huge stand. It's just a decision that I'm a non-smoker. I'm a non-drinker. I don't take drugs. It's a pretty simple way to live my life. Now, people around me still drink. I'm totally okay with that. I just don't like to see when people do drink to excess. And one thing I did notice when I first stopped drinking is when I was going out with the same group of people and I saw them drink to the levels that I was at, it looked pretty silly. Like, these were now grown men in their 40s, late 30s and 40s, that were writing themselves off. And it does look a bit silly when you're sitting there looking in from the outside. I'm also going to touch on a personal point here. So we have seen in the last, I will say 5 years, I'm not going to say who this person is, but we've had a very close relationship of ours go through chronic alcoholism, and we've seen them come through the other side of it. And I will say, there's not much you can do for that person other than give them support when they need it. So that's what we did. This person they actually went through AA, and they are now clean and sober and have been for nearly 2 years. So it's an amazing effort, and I think the failure rate is like 95%. So the strike rate of coming through an alcohol addiction it's pretty hard to come through. So I don't think I was addicted to alcohol. It was just a habit, but it wasn't an addiction. So I would just drink out of habit. So now what do I do instead of drinking alcohol? I do have 6 non-alcoholic beers in my fridge that have probably sat in there now for 6 months. Occasionally I will go out and I'll have a non-alcoholic beer. If I go to a barbecue or something, I might take 2 or 3 beers and drink them. That's more or less the thing of just, instead of having a glass of lemonade, I will drink a beer. So look, that's pretty much it. I don't hound on other people's asses for drinking alcohol. If you drink and you can control it, well, good on you. You know, that's a good thing that you can do. But for me, like I said, it works better for me not to have alcohol in my life. I know a lot of people have reached out to me in admiration that I don't drink, and they go, "Oh, I wish I could do it." Well, you can do it. You just got to draw a line in the sand. That's literally how you have to do it, is draw a line in the sand, step over it and go, from today forward, I'm not going to drink for 2 weeks. See how you go, see how you feel. If you feel better, go for a month. If you feel good after a month, go for 2 months and just build on it from there. And then who knows, you might be sitting here like me after 21 years and say, I don't drink alcohol. And, you know, it's a nice feeling. It is something, I will tell you something else as well. It gives you a great feeling of empowerment when you feel, so with my mental health, by refusing the urges to drink alcohol gives me strength. So I feed on that strength, and that makes me feel stronger as a person, that I can say no to alcohol. And that is a really empowering feeling. It also sets up other things, how I've said in the other video, of yes or no. So it's like, do I drink? Yes or no. There is no maybe. So it is just a really clear yes or no. Don't know if you can hear that noise in the background. My dogs have decided to fight with each other just on the outside of the garage door. So if you hear a growling noise, that's what it is. It's the dogs. So there you go, fellas. I'm not preaching on you should drink or you shouldn't drink. That's how it works for me. If you see inspiration in that and you say, hey, you know what, I'm going to try it, do it. Let me know. Jump in the comments and let me know where you sit with alcohol. I will say one thing here, quite adamantly. I've never seen anything good come out of alcohol. So you can use that as a quote if you like, but I've never seen anything good come out of alcohol. All I've seen is fights, I've seen disruption in people's lives, and I've seen absolute turmoil in people's lives due to alcohol. So, but that's alcohol in excess. So I don't mind if you love to get home and have a beer or 2 beers. That's good on you. I drink my decaf cappuccino. That's what I like. So I hope you enjoy that video. Now this week's shout out is that it's a double whammy. What I'm actually doing is, firstly, I'm going to do an apology to any BMW riders out there in a statement I made in my video when I bought my Harleys. I'm not at retirement age yet to be riding a BMW 1250. I think that's sort of a different segment of adventure bike riding. What I was referring to is the BMW is probably what I would classify as the ultimate touring adventure bike. So there's no doubt on that. In my mind, that's the bike. If I was going to ride to Perth tomorrow, I would probably want to do it on a BMW 1250, well, the GS 1250. So when I said about retirement, I meant that would be the bike I'd go to as probably my last bike that I'm going to use for big, long-ass trips. So I hope that didn't offend anybody. I think they're an amazing motorcycle. I think what I was meaning was I'm just going to roll through different brands of bikes before I settle into a BMW, because I'm sure once I go there, I'm probably not coming back from it. So sorry if I offended anyone. That's more or less what I meant there. The other thing too, this week I'm just going to say g'day to Steve Bly, Mongrel Dog Productions. Mate, I've loved your videos. You're an inspiration to not only me, but a hell of a lot of other adventure bike riders out there. If you haven't seen Steve, make sure you look him up, Mongrel Dog Productions. He's just crazy. He does things like, he lives in Perth. He'll ride over from Perth. He'll do a 4,500k ride to join a group on a ride. He'll come and do the BMW safaris. And he rides over to join those safaris and then rides back home again. And he does a great vlog. There's no bullshit to it. It's just him riding his bike, where he's at, what he does. And yeah, I love your work, mate. And I think, like I said, you are an inspiration to a lot of adventure bike riders out there. So keep it up. And I did actually like your completely turning left and going on your bicycle rides as well. I enjoyed watching those videos as well. So make sure you check him out. Steve Bly, Mongrel Dog Productions. Hope you enjoyed this video. You can still hear my dogs going at it in the background. Yeah, take it easy, everyone. And yeah, catch you all soon. Catch ya. Bye.